And all right, we are live. Welcome back, everyone, to I think we're still calling it Board Gaming Breakfast. Devin's hopping on today, so those of you who are familiar with his face from the last stream we did together, Devin and I got to meet in person at Origins, which was really cool, and we figured it'd be fun to hop on and just talk about the games that we played together. So, Devin, do you want to do a little intro of yourself for anyone that's new watching?
Oh, hey, I'm Devin, and I'm one half of Picking Up Pieces, a channel all about board game pieces and how to pick them up. And so our channel is everything board game under the sun, or currently thinking about. So yeah, that's pretty much our channel. Definitely give us a watch. We appreciate it.
Awesome. And so today, Devin and I are kind of just going to riff back and forth, recap some of the games we played in chronological order at the convention. I didn't, unfortunately, get much time at the table, but I think between the two of us, we were able to get 6 games in together,
Yep.
maybe. And so we'll start with what we got to play. I believe it was Thursday night, and this was Devin's copy of Heat, Pedal to the Metal, I believe.
Yes, heat pedal to the metal. This big boy right here, which is pretty much just a deck builder where you're just racing around cards. I guess I'll leave it right here and you just read the words.
Perfect.
Um, and so I'm trying to think. Yeah, deck builder, racing around cards, really cool game. They have that makes it different than other racing games, which seems really small. Is like they have numbers written up the side that tells you how far away you are from turning. Which, if you are turning in this game, if you go too fast around it, you have the chance of spilling out or and then having to reset your car at the turn. And so you got to make sure you're not going too fast around it. So it's constantly checking you to go see how fast you're going. But the numbers across the side, you can just easily like do quick math in your head and then plop the car all the way over there instead of counting it out. Or you can still count it out if you want to.
Right. It reminded me a lot of, I don't know if you played the bike racing game Flamme Rouge of
I, so that's what I've heard. I've heard that this is, I think it's the same design as, or is it Heat?
that
It
would
might
make
be.
sense if it was, but
Mhm.
so in these kind of recap videos, we don't really go over the full rules teach, just talk about a few of the mechanics that really made it enjoyable for us. The shift system of the like higher you shift up, the
Yes.
more cards you get to play, but the like when you shift down, you can remove the heat cards, which we kind of glossed over. Those are like
Yeah.
the junk cards that if you have too many in your deck, you can't really play cards. I thought that was really clever, tied in with the numbers on the corners of the turn of like how like the speed limit almost that you can go around those as well.
Yeah.
I think were probably the two of my favorite parts. And we should clarify that we only played just the base game. I know the copy that you
Hmm.
have has a bunch of different modules and different maps that you can throw in. Um,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed our play of it, even though I got
Hmm.
second. But it was I could
To the guy. So we were playing the game, and then a guy just showed up, and he was like, "Oh, you guys know how to play?" No, and then he's like, "All right, well, I'll come play with you and teach you how to play your own game." So that was really kind of him. Yeah.
it was a fun way to did we actually play? No, we played Project L before that, so we technically went out of order. But
I knew we did. I didn't want to call you out.
oh, you
I
should
thought
have.
we'd go back to it
Gotta keep
later.
me honest. Like it just clicked in my brain. I was like, we didn't play anything else after that night, but
Uh-huh.
it was a fun way to kind of start off the convention. And
Yeah.
even though we did play Project L first as my first new game, it seemed
Hmm.
very easy to get to the table. And even before Paul came over and kind of explained everything, like that the half
Yeah.
teach you did made it seem like pretty easy to jump into, and there's not too much confusion other than um, once you understand how the heat system works, it's fairly quick to jump into. I definitely, if we
Yeah.
ever met up, be interested in playing some of the extra modules because it's
For sure, for sure. I need to get the extra ones to the table, but it's going to be difficult because we'll talk about a game in future that we bought that's also a racing game. Like it is
mhm.
a racing game, but it's definitely anyway. I'm just teasing you
I
guys.
think between the two of those, I would be with you where I'd be more inclined to get the other to the table. But Heat was a lot of fun,
Yeah,
and
I've already gotten other to the table actually,
oh, there you
with
go,
some other people since
nice.
coming back home. So anyway, teasing you. Yeah.
Well, we'll speed on to the next one, just pun included, of a racing
Project
game.
L.
But yeah, so we had the first game we technically played is I found Devin on the free to play area, and you guys were playing. Llama
Llama
Land?
Land.
Llama
Llama
Land.
Land. It
But
was love at first sight, and then May Kate whooped my butt because Sam was distracting me.
well, that was the plan. She actually DM'd me on the side, being like, "Devin's got too big an ego. We need to
Yeah.
knock him down a few." But then after she whooped his butt, we broke out Project L, which was another
Yeah.
polyomino game. And I'm just gonna throw the
You
box
just
cover
threw
over.
that thing. Good God, son.
But it's all about, you have these two different level tiles of white and black, and they have, it's almost like an engine builder meets polyomino game, where you have kind of these shapes that you're filling in with these really cool acrylic different polyomino pieces, and the simplicity of the action selection in it, of like, you have three actions you can perform, which is either take another board, take a new tile, upgrade a tile, makes the game super easy and like able to be introduced. Like, we've played this with my parents, and it's, for those people that are newer into the hobby, it's one that like has very minimal rules overhead. And then anyone that plays like Tetris or other style, like Tetris is like the easiest thing, be like, think Tetris, but you're like hole in the wall filling in shapes, and you can kind of teach the rule in 2-3 minutes, which I've found to be very helpful for those that aren't into the bigger, heavier games that, Devin and I like salivate over playing.
Yeah, yeah. Project L was a blast. It was really good. I want to get so far to new people, which is doing the game a major injustice. It's just a more complicated small world with like, because it's so much combat. I feel like unless maybe you can play the game, and I know you said Sam, you played the game with like just 1v1 with Michaela, and you don't do much combat at all. But our game was so highly interactive. We were constantly fighting each other as we were discovering new lands and taking over lands. And so the game, um, it has so many different mechanics, area control, deck building involved, or resource management and other things like that, that you're constantly having to take care of, like juggling many different roles in that game. And so it was really fun because of how highly interactive that game can be. Because I'm constantly us going against Ryan, or me going against Ryan, and fighting for his death hut land, his homeland, because Ryan, he got a card that
So
allowed
he
him to build.
had this one, which
Oh,
is
you had it
called,
ready.
yeah, I pulled them both out because it was my favorite, kind of
Mhm.
spoiler, but it was one of my favorite moments, or memories from the convention. But
Mhm.
typically, you can only ban Ryan. Like, what happens is, at the end of uh, the action phase, when a person passes, they get to pick from the market which card they want to add to the top of their deck, which is interesting because most deck builders, like, you're not sure when you're going to use that, but like the planning for the next round, you have access to it, which was pretty cool. But he
Mhm.
picked this one called Amenities, which, uh, if you build a small building, like, you can use it to build a big one, but if you build a small one, it ignores the placing requirement of having to have a plot, and you can just build anywhere. And so they
Mhm.
have the buildings that are basically defense buildings, where whenever somebody tries to invade, you guarantee will kill one of their troops. He was just plopping them all down. And Devin ended up, and we all knew it because it's public information, picking
Yeah.
up the Conqueror card, which,
Which I got that at the beginning of the game before Ryan was starting to do what he was doing. It just so happened that this card was a foil to him.
exactly, and we'll just read it right out loud.
Mhm.
For the duration of this year, ignore enemy defense towers and fortresses. So Devin just like can ignore the fact that there was, like, I think at one point maybe four. Like, if you entered that territory, you were guaranteed to lose 4 units no matter what the die roll was. So you had
It
to
felt like
have,
more than 4. It felt like more.
and so he would keep sneaking under. And Ryan is a very animated person, and so he would like just crazy upset and spent the rest of the game trying to take it back. And I
Yeah.
think he got it back, and then right as he got it back, Devin drew the card again. And so it was, uh,
Yeah.
it definitely was not probably an intent. Like, probably the first time you took it, you should have pivoted somewhere else to, like,
Yeah.
because you score based on collecting the little victory point symbols, which are just like
Mhm.
Small World, where it's like a hidden piece of information, so you don't know where you're at different
Yeah.
points in the game. But uh, I guess Ryan's hubris, and he wanted to die on his land, which, the fun part of the end of the game was he was able to take it back with one lonely troop left after like having all 6 of his units wiped out.
Yeah, so Ryan just said, "Forget the victory. I'm just here for the bit." And so that's the difference probably between me and Ryan when we're playing board games. I couldn't uh do something for the bit. I have to try to win and win purposefully. Ryan's like, "Nope, that's my land and I'm happy. If I get that land, I win the game, you know?"
Exactly.
So, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Ryan 9 times out of 10 will play games for the bit. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
while we have it out too, this is I alluded to you about like the differences in the Kickstarter Deluxe, and so it
Mhm.
comes with the 2 extra expansions, which I know you can pick up individually now, but it's like the War Chiefs expansion and the Wilderness expansion come right in the box, and in the War Chiefs it gives you this nice player board, which on one side, so you played as the Bear Clan, it shows you exactly
Mhm.
what your bear does. But if you're playing with the More
Mhm.
Chieftains module, you have a special unit that, what does she look like? I think might be her. So you have like its own sculpt that you'll snap your color to,
Wow. That's
and
nice.
it like so for Borgild, I think is her name. Uh,
Mhm.
if she's a defender, she acts as 3 sword
Mm.
axes. So it adds a little
Yeah.
more there, and on the player turn phase, it shows you exactly what those totems can be spent for. I know it's
Mhm.
mirrored right now, um, but that was sort of why my nose was in the rule book for like figuring out those
Yeah.
costs, because I've only had the experience of seeing it right there, so I never had to try and remember it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I almost bought the game actually on the last day, and then I was like, "Nah, I feel like I spent too much money." Even though we did a recap, me and Kate was like, "Oh, we didn't even buy that much stuff." Like we thought we bought way more. The first day we like went all crazy, and then like rest of the days at the convention, like, okay, we just gotta slow down. We overcorrected.
There
I
you go.
should have bought it.
That's good self control. Well,
Uh-huh.
it'll
Mhm.
come with me to the Cape if you ever come visit there.
Yep, yep. Just gotta invite me, and then I'm gonna be there before you.
It's been an open invite. We'll just have to schedule the
Mhm.
time.
Yep, yep.
And so I pulled these out. We didn't really talk about them, but everyone starts with the same 6 cards, and that is your action economy for the rounds.
Yeah.
Where we didn't actually play this way, which was a rules mistake on my part, but you
Mm.
always will draw 4 cards. So if you passed and still had 2, you'd end up having 6 for extra actions. So you could almost stockpile for later
Oh,
rounds, which
okay.
um, may have. I know there maybe were 1 or 2 turns that players held on to a card or two.
Yeah.
That might have swung the balance, but I didn't. Again, I didn't remember because I couldn't look at this thing. That's my excuse.
I I understand. I understand. I'm not gonna hold it against you, but that definitely would have changed the game.
It
I don't know
def
if it would have changed the victory, but it would have changed the feel of the game.
Yeah, because it's sort of like it almost gives that feeling of like when to fight another day type thing. Where we didn't I covered them, so I can't really talk about it. But surprisingly enough, the explore Carcassonne feel of being able to control how the
Yes.
tile looks
Mhm.
is one of my favorite parts, because you can kind of I built this little cave that I was hiding in, and then Mary Kate just like went in and just kicked my guys out and like threw them over the
Yeah.
mountains. But that feel of kind of
Mhm.
having the godlike agency of like being able to
Yeah.
construct the land is a like a small part that I really enjoy in the game. I've
Yeah.
definitely overhyped it. If you can't tell, it's one of my like I would definitely have like buyer satisfaction on that Kickstarter.
It seems like it has to be in your top 20. Is that safe to say? I didn't want to say
um,
top 10, so I thought of the next lowest 10 number.
I definitely would say that's probably top 50. I'd say the only knock it has on it is that it really can't be played two. Well, it can be, but it's just like a 2 player.
Yeah.
Um, the wildland mechanic adds to it a little bit, but it's just not
Yeah.
something we're gravitating to. And when we have
Yeah.
that full 3 to 4 player count, Dune Imperium is so hard for me to pass up when I have that, like, because the same type of gamer I
Mm.
feel like is interested in both of them, that because
Yeah.
it just doesn't see
But Doom
play
Imperium
much.
doesn't have the explore, where this has an explore aspect, which I enjoy.
True. It's
Mhm.
I'd say if you forced me to do a pub meeple right now, recency bias of enjoying our last play of it, and then Ryan's theatrics probably would scoot it up into that like top 30, like maybe
Yeah.
mid 20s mark. But it's definitely
I really I really enjoy that game.
It's
It's
also
really
got
good.
great production value, and as a
Yeah.
industrial designer by trade, I'm a sucker for that. If you looked at
Mm.
my top 10 list, they're all like not cardboard.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think we
Minis.
not all minis, but like even Planet Unknown's got great production value.
Production value.
Um,
Okay. Mhm.
Viticulture doesn't have minis, but it's still great production value.
Yeah.
Uh, but those aren't the games we're talking about right now. I think that was
Yeah. I
the
guess that's true.
is that was the only game we played Friday night.
I believe so, and that's the. I think that's the halfway point. So we're halfway through,
Yeah,
and we got
through
3 more games left.
exactly, and I think so. Then Saturday we met up, and what Devin was teasing earlier got to break out this talk about production value, a crazy experience.
Yeah. So I'm trying to open it up right now, just so I have some things to demonstrate the game. I
And
wish
while
I
you
would have
do
thought
that,
about
I'm
that
gonna
before
grab some
bringing up the
water.
unit. Oh, I was hoping you fill up the space
Oh, I
with your sound
can.
of your voice.
So
Oh,
and
hello. Hi. So this is Thunder Road Vendetta, which this is Maximum Chrome Edition. So this does look a little different, way different than what you would get in the normal edition. And so it's the same like basic artwork drawn out, but not this like really fancy Chrome. And on the first day we were walking around, we went to go look at Distilled, which is another game you may Kate bought over the weekend. And when we were there, on the first day, we saw it and it was like, "Oh, that looks really cool. Like that looks really cool." And then they're like, "Oh yeah, this is all we have." And it legit sold out within hours. And I just slowly saw the pile going down. It's like, "Well, I gotta get it," and I'm so happy I did. Yeah, that one was such a good buy. I was in for hours, and then afterwards, I was like, "Oh no, this was amazing," because the Maximum Chrome Edition not only is it the base game, but it has all of the expansions of this game in one box in a very stylistic box, as you just saw. And so, pretty much, the game is a racing game, but it's a racing game that you don't focus on winning the race. You're focusing on killing all your friends because it's Mad Max, where you're just constantly um, hitting a car, and then you cause that car to move into another car, and then that car moves into another car. So it's just a constant cascade of effects. Yeah, let me get some cars for you guys so you can see what the cars look like.
which it almost
So pretty,
feels like a because yeah, it's technically racing because you have these cars on the board, and the
yeah,
objective is to be the win the race, but you can also be the last one standing, which turns it almost into a dudes on a map style game
yeah,
where
mm-hmm,
the each round everyone's rolling 4 dice and then using those dice to activate the 3 different cars and your little special
yeah,
ability pad, which after the
mm-hmm,
first round you can bring out this chopper in the base set, which adds like the chaos because I believe if I'm remembering correctly the turn structure is place a die on a car, place an auxiliary
mm-hmm,
die on that map if you want, and then
yep,
resolve either the chopper if you're doing that or move the car. If you stayed on pavement, you can continue to like use the pavement die, which is a little extra
yeah,
speed. And then if you're on a car or behind a car, you can either roll for collision or shoot the car in front of you. And so
yep,
it's like
mm-hmm,
this absurd. I think we had a funny moment where because how collisions are resolved is there is a die that determines whether it's the car on top or bottom, and there's a die that
mm-hmm,
determines the direction that that car moves. And I think there
yeah,
was, and if you land on out of bounds, the car dies. If you land behind, like in a space with a helicopter, the car dies. And there's like 6 other ways a car probably could die. And we
yeah,
had,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think Mary Kate ended up behind a copter, died, and then right after me, I was like, "What are the chances it happens 2 times in a row?" Boom, same thing.
Boom, it dies. Yeah, and so the game's just crazy, stupid fun. It's not really too like. I don't care if I win that game. It's just more about the experience you have, which I think speaks a lot to a game. If you're able to enjoy the game and not win. And so the game, yeah, like you said, just crazy, stupid fun. And with all the expansions, I'm so excited. So there's one expansion which gives you asymmetric powers because this was a 1986 board game. because it's made by Restoration Games, where they restore old board games. That's the whole business model. And so they've added more Euro-ness to the game in order to appeal to modern board gamers. And so they have this one expansion where you can get asymmetric powers for everybody that breaks the rules, but not only like a basic like asymmetric power that you do get, but every single one of your individual cards can also get an asymmetric power,
Oh, that's very
which
sweet.
I really want to play a lot because like then you get an attachment to your card and it makes you feel more so, no, I just lost
Do
that
you end
vehicle
up
that does this
drafting?
thing. Mhm.
Do you draft
The
the
powers,
asymmetrical powers?
that's exactly how it works. Everyone gets dealt four cards, and then you're just passing until you fill out your vehicles. That's exactly how it works.
So that's giving
And
me so Heroescape was like my intro game
are
by
you excited for
Hasbro.
that to get reprinted?
Yes and no. Like yes in the sense that I'm
Okay.
glad it will have like the Renegade Games kind of like stamp on it, and like they
Yeah.
put out great games, so it's great. I'm glad that it's not dying, but the fear is
Mhm.
that I'll need to like acquire updated stuff because I
Uh-huh.
have like a tote that has like the like Staples printer boxes. um
Mhm.
I have one full thing of that, just of terrain tiles, and then I have these
Okay.
like totes that have all the minis so that they're not like crushed in on each other.
Yeah.
And it I'm not gonna say out loud how much money I've probably sunk into that or how much it would sell for, but
Mm.
it was sort of my intro to the hobby, and my
Mhm.
favorite part of that was like drafting the the characters that you'd come and take combat in. And so that
Yeah.
definitely uh when we have this Cape trip, you'll have to pack that in the car and bring it with you,
I'll
because
pack it.
I want
I'll
to play
pack
with
it.
all the expansions, crazy maps, and we'll just do like a circuit of Mad Max style
Again, there's so
collision.
many expansions. Like Make Hate, she's really excited to play with these. I don't even know if I can stand them up, so I'm just gonna grab it.
The
These
little
motorcycles,
motorcycles.
which is one of the so instead of getting three little cars, you get five little motorcycles. Where they always have the ability to drift. And so whenever you are going across somebody, if you run into somebody, it's supposed to cause an accident, but they have the drift ability where you can drift around the first car that you want to hit. And so they always have that ability. But if another car comes and hits you, you're always at the disadvantage. And so it's more likely you're going to die, but there's five of you. So Make Kate wants to play with that one a lot. So
Oh,
yeah.
we may want to move on because my acquisition disorder is starting to kick in. I might have to go search to see if I can acquire a copy.
Well, I know you can get you. So the good thing is that all the expansions and all that stuff, you can buy all of it. It's just going to have to buy separately. This one, the only selling on cons because it was originally a Kickstarter deluxe
Hmm.
edition. So if you go to a con and they have some copies, you might be able to get some. If
Well,
I am going to Gen
if you
Con,
end up at Gen Con and we plan out this, I'll talk offline. I probably got 2 dozen games in the closet that if you picked that up, I would bring to the Cape and do a little swip swap.
oh yes sir, yes
But we'll
sir.
talk
Here we
about that
go, here we
offline.
go.
And so after we got through that, I believe we went to dinner, and I ended up misplacing my tablet, which is a story for another day. And so I don't think we played anything else Saturday night or Friday night.
Is that not when we played? Oh yeah, yeah, right. That's Saturday night when we played that.
Because I think we got 2 games left.
Yep, we got two,
Wait,
and it
no,
was Friday
you're
night.
right. You're right. That was because Friday night was Northgard. So you were right. So we went to dinner, and then that was Saturday. You're right. I think.
No, I think Northgard was Thursday. Whenever Ryan got in, we played Northgard and we went to Agave and Rye, which is a taco place.
Was
Not
there?
really plugging it, it's not that good. And then after that, Friday is whenever we played Thunder Road, and then later on went and played Splitto.
Right. Yeah, so that was all Friday night because we didn't
Yeah.
play. We didn't get anything together Saturday night because I ended up going to the
hmm
comedy show, and then we kind of did our own thing. But I
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah,
con
yeah,
brain,
yeah. He
so
ghosted me. He was like, I don't need to hang out with Devin
whoa. Let's take
anymore.
that offline. Don't be spreading false narratives here. We were going to show support at the board game comedy show. I've been a little tired, so we just played a couple 2-player games back at the hotel room.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
It wasn't ghosting. I responded when you called. I just said, Devin, I'm running on empty.
Yeah. But yeah, so Splitto.
Yeah, so because after that, we jumped into Raw, which forced us to have to go to the bar because apparently Ryan and I don't play Raw the typical way.
Okay, it was me, and then you guys bullied me. So you want to talk about Raw? I kind of wanted to save it for last because this was my favorite play.
All right, perfect. Yeah, we can do that. So we'll fast forward to we ended up going to the
Sorry, viewer, if this is annoying you.
I'm enjoying
Forget
talking.
This is for us. This isn't for them. All right, go ahead.
And I was talked into it originally because I was told it was like Between Two Castles, but more streamlined. And so we had Between Two Castles and Mad King Lungwig for a while, which was a really fun tile drafting game, but it was sort of big and bulky and didn't play that great at 2 players. Like, there is a variant to it, but it was not sort of scratching the itch for us. And so Splitto takes that same concept where your partners are to the left and right of you, and you're working to build and satisfy scoring objectives, which different than castles. Each tile has a scoring requirement. It cleans it up where you have these cards here that have scoring requirements, but those are shuffled into the same deck as these cards that are just colors and numbers. And so everyone's dealt out 13 cards, and you're just drafting 13 times, and you'll end up with 2 piles to the left and right of you. There are 2 of the scoring cards in the middle, which are sort of like, I'll see if I can find them here. They have little symbols at the bottom. So there's 2 here, where it's a strict majority thing. So the pile of the most green and then the pile of the most 5s will be awarded these 2. And so
out of everyone on the table.
Oh, we have a live viewer, Ryan James from the Gamecasters. Yeah, no pressure. I'm usually done streaming this time, but Devin and I are just recapping the games that we played together at the convention, and we're currently talking about Splitto. And so it's a drafting style game like, you probably already heard this, but drafting style game similar to Between Two Castles, and we were playing it at the bar Friday night.
Yeah.
And I can lead it into you, Devin, to talk about the favorite moment, but somebody on this call ended up with 130 points, and
it's not that guy. I did that, so I nearly doubled the second player. We have no idea how that happened. We recounted multiple times, and that was the right score.
Scoring works where every objective that you've completed, you'll get the diamonds associated to it. So some are worth 1, some are worth 3. I believe 4 is the highest scoring criteria. And so Devin and I ended up with a pile that had 13 points satisfied, and on his other side was a different Ryan that ended up, I think, having 10, which Q, who was one of the fellows that played with us, couldn't believe it, and he said, let's re-rack it. Come on, like that's bullcrap.
Yeah.
And so Ryan and
so this might be your favorite moment, not mine.
No, my favorite moment, we probably already talked about, but we can recap it at the end. Has to do with the heritage land that somebody had to get back. But the next round, Ryan and I were committed to not playing cards to either of Devin's piles, so we already gave up the win. There are no other Ryans. Oh, well, that's weird because I took a flight home with him, but a fellow Ryan watching is claiming that he has eradicated the other Ryans.
I believe him.
Hypothetically.
That's true.
It was probably an AI sentient being to just not cause me trauma that he sent off to fly with me. But Ryan and I both, I'll call him Leary. Leary and I both determined that we are happy to lose as long as Devin doesn't win. And so I think Mary Kate snuck out the victory there.
No chance of winning. It wasn't. I was okay with losing that game just because it wasn't actually. We weren't actually playing a game. We were playing a bit in order to make me lose.
Well,
So
like
yep,
playing with
I got
Leary, there
tail.
are always bits to the game.
Always, never not. The whole game becomes a bit.
But that was
So yeah.
Splitto, which I believe was the
Hmm.
last game we played together. So we can rewind to the potential game of the convention that I don't have here with me. But we
Oh,
got the
there
chance
we
to
go.
play Raw, the
Raw.
redone edition that's not the deluxe, but felt pretty deluxe when we were playing it.
Also 25th century games. So we
Mm.
played two. 25th century is just doing really good things. And yeah, I would say you don't need the deluxe edition. It is so nice. And the deluxe edition is so much more expensive because they make every component wood. And so I'm sure that's a nice feel, but it feels so nice. So I would definitely recommend just getting the regular base edition. And so pretty much raw, what you're doing is just a auction bidding game. I don't really know where the line is between auction and bidding. They're so close together. But anyway, where you are constantly pulling out tiles and placing them down and then bidding on it with your already pre-made tiles that have based off of numbers. Whoever has the higher number wins the round or wins that bid. And then you have different scoring in front of you, such as set collection um, or don't get as less than other people, get more than everybody else on the table. Those are two examples. I won't go into all of them.
Mm.
And so it's so fun because like whenever it's on your turn, you either pull out a tile or you can act for how big it is. And you throw it down, it shakes the whole table, and you're like raw, and then cause everyone to have to go into an auction.
Yeah, and so Ryan, to answer your question, that was my first time playing Raw. I had never played it before that, and
Hmm.
I also agreed because after we played it, I enjoyed the play of it so much that walking around in the convention hall, I saw the deluxe, and it was a little too pricey for my
Oh,
blood,
cool.
and they weren't selling any of
Yeah.
the regulars. But my
Hmm.
favorite part of it is that how once the bid has happened, your bid tile actually goes into the
Yeah.
pool to be part of the bid for next round, and so
Hmm.
the not playing the game before, I got myself into a pickle where I ended up winning the first bid with a 2 and then didn't realize that I think I ended up with the 1 after that. And so I got
Yeah.
myself after the first 2 bids that I only had the 1 and 2 bid tiles for the next round, which I was kind of getting heckled a little bit because they said I was playing it the wrong way and I wasn't playing with my brain and I might have been a little
Yeah.
tired. But
Hmm.
who won that game again?
You did. Congrats. I have not won Raw at all. Like I've played it now like 4 times, I think, or 5 times. I haven't won it, and it is easily in probably the top 10, top 15 games. It is so good. I every single time it has magic where you are talking about it at the table constantly. So much laughter, and then afterwards you still think about it, the game. And if the
Yeah,
game's able to do that.
it was cool because going through and kind of experiencing it on the fly. After I realized I was in that jam of like not having good bid tiles, I think the second round I had like the 1, 2, and maybe 8. It was an interesting puzzle of trying to figure out. Okay, I'm gonna just like coast and not try to get like not care about
Mhm.
what's in the pool, but try and manipulate who forces the auction just so that I can end up with like somewhat substantial tiles to end the game with for the
Well, it's
third
easy
round.
to manipulate the audience or the other players, right? The other players is Ryan.
Well, yeah, Ryan is an agent of chaos, so if you just gave him the right look, he will stick to the bit, and so it was.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was really getting under Q's skin or he was just going along with it as well, but
I think he was just going along with it.
it
Yeah.
was, I guess, in a typical game, Ryan. I'm not sure the games of Raw you've played, but the what gets added to the pool are out there and things like that, and so it was
Hmm.
sort of a chaotic um, auction
Which is
system.
which is the way I usually play Raw. But then everyone made fun of me. So how everyone was dogging Sam, then everyone was making fun of me for doing it. But immediately after that happened, everyone else was making doing it. Like May Kate, Sam, Ryan, everyone was just taking turns doing it, and it was stressing out one of the other players, Q, stressing him the heck out because he's like, "This isn't how you play Raw," and he was telling Ryan like, "You are disrespecting Raw, or you're disrespecting Ryan and Kaninsia, the designer of the game." And then Ryan's just straight up like, "Oh, I don't even believe the sun's real, let alone the god of the sun." I was
And I believe that Devin, you might have dropping in one
I
of
do.
your videos that is going maybe live today or tomorrow.
Hopefully today. We're hoping to get it out today, which
Awesome.
usually release videos every Saturday. But since we went to Origins last week and we didn't release a video, we're going to release two this week. So we're hoping to get one out today for sure.
Awesome. And that's picking up pieces on YouTube.
Yes, sir. Me and my wife.
If you want to check it out, Ryan, or anyone that's watching the rebroadcast of us be silly talking online. And
Yep.
so
Yep.
that was not the last game, but the last game we had to talk about that we got to play together. And I thought it'd be fun to finish off this stream by talking about something that I actually yoink and twisted from Ryan from the Gamecasters. In his Discord, he asked a few of these questions. But Devin, I'd love to have you share, and then I'll follow up with your favorite game that you played of the convention, your favorite moment,
Yeah.
favorite memory, and then favorite purchase. We don't have to talk about.
So favorite. So go ahead. Give me the first one again.
So
Favorite moment
favorite
or
game that or favorite play that you had at
raw?
the convention. Raw was.
Raw. It had to be raw. Raw again. Raw is well. I guess. Um. Either that or Blood on the Clock Tower. Because I was just thinking about the games we had. But Blood on the Clock Tower, I played that. That's the game I played the most at the convention. I played that 4 or 5 times. And every single time, it's just amazing. Like the memories you make at that game. It takes 2 hours, but you have that thing where you are decompressing after the game with everybody around you for another 20 minutes.
Mm,
And if a game's able to do that, you know it's really good. And so I definitely know there's faults because it requires so many people, which isn't a fault of the game, it's just what the game is.
yeah.
So you can't blame a game for being like that. And so Blood on the Clock Tower or Raw, but for out of the games we played, definitely Raw. Raw was so great. It's so fun every single time we play it. I mean, I laughed so hard while we were playing Raw. So love it.
So I'd probably also give the nod to Raw. So I'm just picking of like the new games that I played. But I think if
Uh-huh.
we had drafted and played with those asymmetrical powers in Thunderbird Rampage, like that's the game that I look at that I'd say Raw is probably a better game. But I think there's a little
Yeah.
more meat on that one that my brain would want to just dive into and play more of
Yeah.
that. Clock Tower to Nerdfest, and you could have late night Nerdfest Blood on the Clock Tower. I think I would be interested in watching video of the chaos that would ensue at at that. But
Yeah.
my favorite moment didn't actually happen at any of the game tables. So on Sunday
Okay.
when I was doing sort of the no commitment, get to kind of network and do my own thing for Everstone, I ended up sitting down at the Game Found area and just talking with one of their the people, kind of just learning more about the game to build out the potential campaign for it. And there were two people that actually mistook Everstone as they thought it was one of the games that GameFound was showing off. And so they
Ooh.
ended up interrupting us and like asking to learn about the game, which then I got to kind of do my whole pitch. But it was a cool moment to
Nice.
like feel like, okay, there's potential success for it in this network, because they had games like Planet Unknown,
Yeah.
DEI, and
Nemesis.
yeah, just crazy games like that sit
hmm
were sitting in the game found area. To have it as something that people were interested was definitely a feel good moment for me. Um,
hmm
I
Awesome.
can take the next one of like favorite memory, hands down, is going to be the battle between you and Ryan going back and forth for his land. I don't know if you caught
hmm
that live, Gamecasters, Ryan, but we played Northgard, and just Ryan had built up this whole network off of this one card that allowed him to build anywhere. And Devin had like the one hard counter card for it that every time he
Yeah.
built up like this monstrosity of a defense network, it was like he forgot to pour a foundation. So Devin just snuck in the basement almost. And so just
Yeah.
the back and forth there was that in 10 years, when I think about my first Origin experience, that I know it was running a bit, but that was probably going to be my favorite memory of the
Yeah.
convention.
For sure.
Outside of meeting
Uh,
everyone that.
and from Eagle, Sam, I mean, that's like up there. But meeting somebody else was really cool. So the last day I went to go play Unmatched, just demoing it, and I talking crap to the other players on the board, of course. And while we were there, I guess it was time for everyone to get rewards. All the designers of Unmatched started showing up and watching me play the game. And I was like, oh, have you played this game before? I didn't know they were the designers. I knew they were restoration. I was like, well, great. After this game, I can beat you too. And so, it was a blast being able to play, not play Unmatched, but play Unmatched in front of them, and then just talking to them the whole time. Especially, like, I want to get into board game publishing at some point. I would enjoy to do that. So being able to make those connections are important. But just being able to talk to them, kind of geek out about the games that I've loved so much. I mean, we have a couple of videos on Unmatched on our channel. That's how much we loved it. I played it at least 100 times. And then buying Thunder, I almost called it, whatever you said it was, Thunderbird,
Don't.
Thunder,
Yeah, Thunderbird Rampage, Thunder Road Vendetta.
bought that. I mean, they have so much of my money saved up and ready, you know what I'm saying, locked and loaded. And so being able to talk to them was great.
That's
Between
the
that,
right title.
huh?
That's the right title, or
Yep,
confirm it.
Thunder Road Vendetta. Yep, that was my favorite purchase because it's the one that I mean, just knowing that I'm not going to be able to get it much afterwards. So that one, and then there was another game called Resurgence, which
Hmm.
that one's probably not as well known because it's a couple years old. It's out of print now. I found that and got that for a great price, and so but I haven't played it yet. So as of right now, Thunder Road Vendetta for sure is going to be my favorite. I mean, come on now, look at this box. Just on box art cover alone, that's got to be your favorite.
That's one I'm definitely jealous that you got to acquire. My sample size is a lot smaller. I only picked up 2 games at the con, and so
Mm.
I'll just promo the other one that we didn't talk about today. But it was so HexaQuest by Tumbling Heads, and so I'm
And you and Michaela played that already, right?
yeah. So we've gotten actually 2 plays of it in already, which
Okay.
I'm not the biggest trivia person in terms of like going to trivia nights at bars or things like that. And I was just
I'm
kind
so
of
bad at
wandering the
trivia.
convention hall. I'll do my quick little flex that because I had the vendor badge, I got to get in there an hour before kind of open, so I could wander where there was a little less going. And I got actually talking to the owner of the company, and he was just passing along. And I guess the reasons I ended up buying it, aside from the categories being ones that weren't incredibly like out of my wheelhouse, and it just
Hmm.
being an updated trivia game, so a little more potential ability to get the knowledge, is I don't know if you can see it, but the board at the start of the game, you randomly will throw out all of these acrylic tiles. And
Mm.
so on your turn, you'll be able to take one and either flip it if it's the category to see how many points it's worth, or if it's on the point side, flip it and see what category you want to try and get the question asked in. And you can only slide the tile out if it's like able to be slid out and wouldn't be fully locked in. So I believe it has to have at least like it just has to be able to be removed without messing up other tiles. And if you
Yeah.
get the question right, you can choose if you want to like store it and keep the points, or roll the dice and put. And so that those in itself, it kind of gamified a trivia, and we don't really have any trivia games here or down at the Cape.
Mm.
So it was one of those
Yeah.
where it was like, they had the little wheel that you could spin, and whatever it land on would be your discount. And then if you ended up getting I ended up getting 2 expansions because the one of them was for wild.org, which all of the proceeds go to this preservation company called wild.org. And then
Hmm.
because I'm a gamer, I ended up getting the gamer one as well. But very
Yeah.
happy with this purchase to acquire something that's you can even just play it one off. Like you pick a category that you want to do, and you'll only use those tiles. The difference is they'll all have the point values hidden. So like we played a full game of it, I believe Tuesday maybe, or Monday or Tuesday, and
Okay.
then last night we ended up just playing one category of the gamer, and I think there's like 15 tiles, so it takes maybe like 10 minutes. So definitely,
Okay. Cool.
as a non-trivia fanatic, was my favorite purchase.
Cool. That's
Splitter was
awesome.
really good too, but we talked a lot about that, so it's
Yeah. Yeah. I like me some Splitto. Again, I mean, enough so where I bought it. I mean, nice filler game, $20. I mean, easy, easy money.
awesome. Well, Devin, I want to thank you for hopping on and being a willing participant of the stream this morning. I'm gonna
Yes, sir.
end the recording here, and we will stop streaming. Won't end the call though, so we can finish up. But
Yeah.
thank you, Ryan, and whoever else is lurking without commenting. I appreciate you guys watching Devin and I ramble about games. It's what we like to do. So it was easy
Yes,
for us.
sir.
So I hope you enjoyed listening.